The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was a place built to impress. Its walls were made of shining crystal plates that caught the light of the central star, sending bright colors across the chamber. Hundreds of seats were arranged in a perfect circle, each one belonging to a different starfaring race. From the highest balconies, diplomats and envoys looked down on the main floor where the speakers stood. Ambassador Mara of Earth stepped forward, her boots clicking softly on the polished floor. She was not tall compared to most alien species, and she knew many here judged her by appearance before she even spoke. Her heart was steady, but her mind was alert. She had traveled across 3 sectors to attend this meeting, and she understood how much depended on her words. A silver-toned chime rang through the hall, announcing her turn to speak. She cleared her throat, her voice calm but firm. Honored members of the council, I bring you greetings from Earth. My people seek peaceful trade and the exchange of knowledge. We have traveled far to meet you in friendship, a few voices murmured in polite reply, but the sound was quickly drowned out by a deep, rumbling laugh from the far side of the circle. It came from the core delegate, a massive, scaled being whose eyes glowed with faint gold light. He leaned forward, placing his clawed hands on the edge of his seat. Peaceful trade? From a child race, he said, his voice carrying across the chamber. Your species has barely touched the edges of its own system. You learned to travel between stars only a few decades ago. What could you possibly offer the galaxy? Several others joined in the laughter. The representatives of the Torvek, the Sauron, and the Draciri exchanged amused glances. One Torvek diplomat whispered something to another, and they both grinned, their sharp teeth catching the light. Mara stood still, letting the noise pass. She could feel the heat in her cheeks, but she refused to show anger. We may be new to the stars, she said, but that does not mean we are without value. We are learning quickly, and the Draciri delegate, tall and insect-like, interrupted with a clicking hiss. Learning quickly? We have civilizations older than your entire species. What could humans possibly learn that we do not already? No, you will only slow us down if we bring you into the council's work. The chamber filled again with low chuckles and muttering. It was not the first time Mara had heard such talk, but here, in this hall, the words felt heavier. She looked around and saw only a few neutral faces, the Aryan, whose clear, crystal-like forms showed no emotion, and the Velari, a quiet people who rarely spoke in public debates. From the central podium, the speaker of the council tapped a long staff against the floor. The sound echoed, calling for order. Let the delegate from Earth finish her statement, the speaker said in a measured tone. Mara inclined her head. Thank you, speaker. As I was saying, we have resources to share, new ideas, and a willingness to work alongside other races. We came not to demand, but to contribute. In the past, those who underestimated humanity on our own world found they were mistaken. We would prefer to be friends, not rivals. Her words were met with silence for a moment, but the core delegate gave a dismissive wave of his claw. Bold words from a youngling world. We have seen many rise quickly, burn brightly, and then vanish. Perhaps it would be wiser for your people to remain in your system until you understand the galaxy better. Otherwise, you may invite dangers you cannot defend against. The speaker noted the core's comment and moved the discussion to the next topic, but Mara could feel the sting in every word. She listened as other races spoke of trade disputes, border conflicts, and technological exchanges. In each matter, the older civilizations acted as though their experience alone gave them the right to lead. When the meeting ended, the delegates began to leave in small groups. Mara made her way toward the exit, the sound of alien voices following her. Some ignored her completely. Others gave her curious, almost pitying glances. As she reached the docking bay, she saw the horizon, her diplomatic transport, waiting. Inside the ship, Captain Yelen, a steady man with short dark hair, greeted her. How did it go? He asked, though he could guess the answer from her expression. Mara sighed as she took her seat. They think we're children. They laugh at us as if we are playing at being part of the galaxy. Yelen started the launch sequence. Let them laugh. I've seen what our people can do when someone tells us we can't. She nodded slowly, looking out at the shining arcs of the council station. It was beautiful, but beauty could hide arrogance. They believe we can't defend ourselves. They think we are too small to matter. But that is their mistake. The horizon moved away from the station, the light from the central star fading behind them. Through the forward windows, the star stretched into bright lines as the ship entered faster than light travel. For a while, neither spoke. The quiet hum of the engines filled the cabin. Mara's mind replayed the core delegates' mocking words, a child race, too young, too weak. She thought of Earth's long history, of centuries of struggle, invention, and survival. Every step had been earned, often against odds that seemed impossible. Back on Earth, the people in power would want to know what had happened. She would tell them the truth. The galaxy did not yet see humanity as an equal. That meant they had a choice. They could accept the place given to them, or they could show the galaxy that Earth was far more than the Council believed. Mara already knew which choice she wanted. Far behind them, the Council Hall returned to its endless debates, unaware that its casual insults had planted a seed. On a small blue world orbiting a yellow star, plans were already being made that would change the balance of power forever. Far above the surface of the moon, hidden in the cold shadows where sunlight never reached, an enormous ring-shaped station floated in silence. It was not marked on any public chart. Even most people on Earth did not know it existed. This was Orion Ring, the heart of Earth's most guarded secret. Inside the ring, long tunnels stretched for kilometers. Massive mechanical arms moved quietly, carrying pieces of metal larger than houses. Sparks flew from welding stations where workers in sealed suits joined the hull plates together. Every sound was swallowed by the vastness of the construction. Based out at the center of all this activity was Commander Rin. He stood on a raised observation platform, his hands clasped behind his back. His uniform was plain, without rank insignia, for secrecy. His sharp eyes followed every detail. A hull plate sliding into place, a team running tests on the reactor core. The faint hum of the magnetic clamps holding everything steady. Before him, taking shape piece by piece, was Earth's first true warship, Aegis Dawn. It was nothing like the ships Rin had seen in Council space. Alien vessels were often elegant and decorated, built for display as much as for battle. The Aegis Dawn was different. Its hull was thick, layered with dense alloys and advanced composites designed to absorb and deflect energy fire. Instead of slow plasma weapons, it carried rail cannons capable of firing solid projectiles at near-light speed. It had no bright colors or flowing designs, only the sharp, purposeful lines of a predator built for one purpose. A soft beep came from Rin's wrist communicator. He pressed the control, and a voice spoke in his ear. "Commander, Captain Mara has arrived." "Bring her up," Rin said. Moments later, an elevator door opened, and Mara stepped onto the platform. She looked around, her eyes widening as she took in the size of the construction bay. "I've seen the schematics," she said quietly. "But in person, it's different." Rin allowed himself a small smile. "Schematics don't show the weight of the metal or the power in the engines. You saw how they spoke to you at the council. This is our answer." Mara stepped closer to the railing, watching as another massive plate was locked into position. On the ship's underside, "The council would call this a threat," she said. "The council doesn't get to decide how we defend ourselves," Rin replied. "If they wanted to protect us, they would have acted when the Vath destroyed our mining station. They would have punished those responsible. But they didn't." She nodded slowly. "How close is it to being finished?" 3 months for the main structure," Rin said. 6 for full systems testing. "But if the situation demands, we can move faster." They both watched as a group of engineers tested the ship's stealth modules. When active, the Aegis Dawn could disappear from nearly all known scanning methods. The idea was not to hide forever, but to strike first and without warning if humanity was threatened. Rin gestured toward the forward section of the ship. "Up there. We've placed the bridge deep inside the armor, instead of on top like most alien designs. It makes it harder to destroy. The crew will be protected even under heavy fire. Mara glanced at him. And the weapons, you'll see them during testing, Ren said. For now. Know this, if anyone tries to harm Earth again, they'll remember the Aegis Dawn for the rest of their lives. They moved along the platform to a viewing chamber where a huge transparent wall looked out over the moon. Earth hung beyond it, blue and white against the black of space. Mara found herself staring at it for a long moment. It's beautiful, she said softly. It's the reason we're here, Ren replied. Every plate we weld, every circuit we lay, it's to make sure no one ever dares to take that from us. Below them, a group of technicians guided a massive coil into the ship's spine. This was the heart of the railgun system. 3 barrels arranged along the length of the vessel, each capable of hurling a projectile with enough force to tear through the thickest alien armor. The projectiles were cheap to make, but devastating in effect. Ren knew that once the ship fired in battle, there would be no mistaking its purpose later. They walked through the ship itself. At this stage, much of it was still open frames and exposed wiring, but Mara could already imagine the final form. Why Carters would allow crew to move quickly under combat conditions. The engine room was a cavern of steel and light, where fusion reactors waited to be sealed and activated. In one chamber, a young engineer was adjusting the power regulators for the stealth field. He looked up as they entered, giving a respectful nod. "Commander, Captain," he said. "How's the calibration?" Ren asked. "Better than expected," the engineer replied. "We've managed to reduce the power draw by 15%. That means longer stealth runs without straining the reactor. Good work," Ren said before moving on. They reached the forward gunnery control room. Rows of targeting systems lined the walls, each connected to the main rail cannons and smaller point defense guns. Mara paused beside one console, running her fingers along its smooth surface. "This is more than defense," she said quietly. Ren met her gaze. "Sometimes the best defense is making sure no one dares attack you in the first place." By the time they returned to the observation platform, the station's artificial day cycle was fading into night mode. Lights dimmed across the construction bays, though a few crews continued working. From this high vantage point, Mara could see the Aegis Dawn in full, still incomplete, but already carrying the shape of something powerful. "This is not for conquest," Ren said again, as if reading her thoughts. "We don't want their planets. We don't want their resources. But we do want them to understand, if they come for us, they will regret it." Mara looked once more at the ship, in the quiet of the moon's shadow, with Earth shining far away. She thought of the core delegate's mocking voice in the council hall. She thought of the destroyed mining station, of the families who had lost loved ones. And she knew this ship was more than metal and engines. It was a promise. The promise that humanity would never again be dismissed as a child race. The mining colonies around Mars had always been a point of pride for Earth. They were proof that humanity could survive and work beyond its home planet. Small domes clung to the rocky surface of the asteroids in the belt, each one filled with people, extracting valuable metals from deep within the rock. From these colonies came the rare minerals that powered fusion drives and advanced electronics, resources Earth desperately needed. One morning, the communication relays lit up with an urgent signal. It came from Colony Delta 9, a small but busy mining station that orbited a large asteroid. The transmission was shaky, filled with background noise, but the message was clear. Unknown ships had entered the restricted zone. Inside Earth Command Headquarters, deep beneath the surface of Geneva, the senior officers gathered in the main operations room. The large display on the wall showed the outline of the incoming fleet. It was not unknown for long. The markings were identified almost immediately: the Vath Dominion. General Hale, head of Earth Defense, frowned as he studied. "Greetings. 5 heavy cruisers to carriers. That's not a patrol. That's an occupation force." The Vath had a long history of expansion, officially. They claimed to follow the laws of the Galactic Council, but in practice, they often took what they wanted from smaller powers. Hale had no doubt what they were after. Within hours, Earth sent a message to the Vath fleet, demanding they leave human territory. The reply came quickly, delivered by a cold and confident Vath commander. His image filled the screen, tall, with a body encased in segmented armor and eyes like shards of ice. "This region is not yours," the commander said. "Our archives show that the mineral-rich asteroid clusters were mapped by our explorers centuries ago. We are simply reclaiming what is rightfully ours." "They are under human authority," General Hale replied. "You have no right to be here." The Vath commander tilted his head slightly, his expression never changing. "Then perhaps you should stop us." The transmission ended without another word. Hale turned to his staff. "Increase patrols around the colonies. Evacuate non-essential personnel from Delta 9 and the surrounding outposts if they make a move. I want civilians out of harm's way." But before the evacuation was complete, the Vath made their move. Without warning, one of their heavy cruisers fired on Delta 9's main dome. The impact shattered the habitat in seconds, venting the air into the vacuum of space. Alarms blared through the nearby colonies as they scrambled to help, but it was too late. 43 people were lost in an instant. News of the attack spread quickly back to Earth, across cities and stations. The images of the destroyed dome appeared on every screen. Families grieved, anger rose, people demanded action. In the council chambers far away, Earth's ambassador spoke again, showing the evidence of the Vath's unprovoked strike. But the response from the council was cold and predictable. The Vath claimed it had been a misunderstanding, blaming a weapons malfunction. The council accepted this explanation and announced there would be no punishment for many on Earth. This was the final proof. They were truly alone. In a secure conference room inside Earth Command, General Hale, Captain Mara, and Commander Wren met in person. The air was tense. "They killed our people," Hale said, his voice low but heavy with anger. "And the council will do nothing if we wait for them to protect us. We might as well hand our colonies over right now." Wren placed a data pad on the table. It showed the latest status of the Aegis Dawn. "The ship can be combat ready in 6 weeks. We can have the main weapons online even sooner. If we strike fast, we can drive the Vath out before they bring in reinforcements." Mara leaned forward. "The council will see it as an act of war. They already treat us like an enemy they can ignore," Hale said. "It's time they learn otherwise." Wren's voice was steady. "We build the Aegis Dawn for this exact reason. Not to conquer, but to make it clear, if you harm humanity, you pay the price." For a long moment, the room was silent except for the faint hum of the air filters. Then Hale nodded. "Do it." The next weeks were a blur of preparation. Engineers worked day and night on the moon to finish the ship's critical systems. Crews ran drills until they could operate the weapons and controls without a single mistake. Supplies were loaded, ammunition, spare parts, emergency rations. Every person aboard knew the risk. Mara was given command of the mission. As she walked through the ship's wide corridors, she could feel the weight of every step. This was not a simple patrol. This was a statement that would echo across the stars. From the bridge of the Aegis Dawn, she watched as the moon shrank. Behind them, the engines rumbled, their deep vibration running through the metal floors. "Set course for the belt," she ordered. The journey took less than a day at full speed. They emerged from faster-than-light travel on the edge of the asteroid field. The wreckage of Delta 9 was still visible in the distance, twisted beams, shattered glass, and drifting debris. Mara stood silently, taking in the sight. Then her voice hardened. "Activate stealth mode. Prepare rail cannons." The Aegis Dawn vanished from all known detection systems in the darkness of space. It became a ghost. Slowly, silently, it moved toward the Vath fleet, which remained anchored near the largest asteroid. On the bridge, the crew waited for Mara's signal. Her eyes were fixed on the tactical display. One by one, the Vath ships appeared in range. She thought of the council chamber, the mocking laughter, the dismissive tone of the core delegate. She thought of the destroyed mining station, of the families who would never see their loved ones again. Her voice was calm when she spoke. "Target their lead cruiser. Fire." The Aegis Dawn answered with a thunderous strike. The rail cannons First shot tore through the silence of space like a storm breaking over calm waters. There was no flash of light, no glowing beam. Just a solid tungsten slug moving so fast it was nearly invisible. It struck the Vath lead cruiser dead center. The impact ripped through the hull, tearing a path from bow to stern. A moment later, the entire ship's core went critical, and the vessel exploded into a cloud of burning fragments. On the bridge of the Aegis Dawn, the crew barely had time to watch before Mars spoke again. Second target, the carrier on the left flank. Fire. The second shot came an instant later. It smashed into the carrier's hangar bay, where dozens of fighter craft had been preparing to launch. The hangar collapsed inward, crushing the small ships before they could escape. Flames and debris spiraled into space as the carrier began to drift, powerless. The Vath fleet was stunned. They had no visual on the attacker. Their sensors reported nothing but empty space. Commanders barked orders, moving their ships into defensive positions, but they were already too slow. Switch position, Mara ordered. The Aegis Dawn's engines roared softly in the bridge deck as the ship slid sideways through the asteroid shadows, using the rocks as cover. On tactical screens, the Vath ships scrambled to form a new perimeter, firing blindly into the void. In the weapons control room, Chief Gunnery Officer Leon called out, rail cannons reloaded. Point defense systems ready. Mara's eyes narrowed on the tactical display. Third target, cruiser nearest the mining outpost remains. Fire. The shot left the barrel with the same deadly silence. The cruiser's shields flared for half a second, then failed under the sheer kinetic force. The projectile smashed through the engines, sending the ship spinning out of formation. Trailing molten metal. By now, the Vath were panicking. Their ships broke formation, trying to widen the distance between them. They launched fighters in every direction, hoping to find the ghost in the dark. On board the Aegis Dawn, the crew kept calm. They had drilled for this exact moment. Stealth modules remained at full power. The enemy still could not see them. Ren's voice came over the comm from the tactical station. We can take out Timor before they even know where to aim. Do it, Mara replied. The next shots came in quick succession. One crippled the second carrier, its reactor shutting down in emergency mode. The other shattered the forward section of a cruiser, leaving it adrift in venting atmosphere into space. 5 enemy ships gone or disabled. The rest began pulling back toward the far edge of the asteroid belt. Clearly unwilling to risk more losses, pursue? Ren asked. Mara shook her head. No, let them leave. Our message is clear enough. The Aegis Dawn drifted in silence as the Vath ships retreated into faster-than-light jump space. The wreckage of the battle floated around them, fragments of twisted hull, shattered weapons arrays, and the slow flicker of fires dying in the vacuum. Stealth off, Mara ordered. The ship shimmered back into visibility. For the first time, the surviving Vath, and anyone watching the battle from nearby outposts, could see the human warship. Its sharp, armored lines and dark hull gave it the look of a predator at rest. Dangerous even in stillness. Mara stood at the center of the bridge, her hands resting on the back of the command chair. She felt no joy in the destruction, but she knew it had been necessary. This was not conquest. It was a lesson. She opened a channel to all nearby frequencies. Her voice carried, steady and clear. This is Captain Mara of the human vessel Aegis Dawn. To the Vath Dominion, your attack on our colony was an act of war. This was your only warning. Harm us again, and we will respond with greater force. To all others who hear this, Earth will defend its people. The message played across the system, carried by automated repeaters. By the time it reached the outer colonies, it would already be spreading through the trade networks. On the other side of the asteroid field, the Vath fleet's surviving commander listened to the transmission. His claws tightened against the control arm of his chair. The humans had been underestimated, and now the galaxy would know it. Hours later, the Aegis Dawn began its journey back toward the moon. In the crew quarters, engineers spoke quietly about the precision of the shots, the power of the railguns, and the fear on the Vath channels as they scrambled to escape. Many of them had lost friends at Delta 9. For them, the battle had been justice. Mara spent the time in her ready room, sending reports to Earth Command. She knew the Council would hear of this before the day was done. They would likely demand explanations, perhaps even try to sanction Earth. But this time, they would not be speaking to a species they saw as weak. Ren entered the room, carrying a small datapad. Preliminary analysis, he said, placing it on her desk. Minimal damage to our systems. We used less than a third of our ammunition. Rail cannons performed beyond expectations. Any sign they'll return? Mara asked. Not soon. Rin replied, they'll need time to repair and rethink their strategy, and when they do come back, they'll bring more ships, but they'll also bring fear. Mara leaned back, thinking. Fear can be useful, but it can also unite them. Against us, we need to be ready for both. They stood in silence for a moment before Rin added, you should know, the crew trusts you. They believe in this ship. Whatever comes next, they'll follow your orders. Mara met his gaze. Good, because this was only the beginning. When the Aegis Dawn arrived back at the moon, it was met with silence, not because no one noticed, but because every person who knew of the ship's existence understood what had happened. No announcement was made. No celebrations were held. The ship returned to its dock, and work began quietly on restocking and repairs. But beyond Earth, the galaxy was far from quiet. The Vath Dominion had lost 5 ships to a single human vessel. Traders whispered the story in station bars. Council delegates received hurried messages from their governments. In private meetings, military leaders spoke of a new human weapon with both caution and interest. In the Crystal Hall of the Galactic Council, the speaker received a sealed report from the Vath delegation. Its contents were classified. But one thing became known for the first time. The Council requested that Earth's representative attend an emergency session. The galaxy had seen the Aegis Dawn, and nothing would be the same again. The news of the battle spread faster than any official report could control. Traders who had passed near the asteroid belt told their stories in busy station markets. Pilots swore they had seen a single human warship destroy half a Vath fleet. In minutes, the words Aegis Dawn began to travel from one end of the trade lanes to the other. On distant worlds, people whispered about it. Some laughed, saying it was an exaggeration. Others shook their heads and said it was the truth. The Vath Dominion, long feared and respected, had been driven out by newcomers the Council once called a child race. Inside the Galactic Council's Crystal Hall, tension filled the air. The Vath delegation sat in their tall, black seats, silent but clearly furious. Across the chamber, other races spoke in low voices, watching every move the humans might make next. Ambassador Mara entered the hall, her steps steady. The last time she had stood here, she had been laughed at. Now the atmosphere was different. The mocking looks were gone. In their place was something colder, careful observation, as if every delegate wanted to measure her before speaking. The Speaker of the Council struck the floor with the ceremonial staff, calling the chamber to order. We meet today under urgent circumstances. The Vath Dominion claims the human vessel Aegis Dawn attacked their fleet without provocation. Earth claims the Vath attacked first. We will hear both sides. The Vath representative rose, his armored form reflecting the bright chamber lights. His voice was deep and sharp. This so-called defense was nothing more than an act of aggression. The humans have built a warship that threatens the stability of the galaxy. If left unchecked, they will become a danger to all of us. A few murmurs of agreement passed through the chamber. Then the speaker turned to Mara. You may respond. Mara stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. The Vath Dominion entered our territory without permission. They destroyed one of our colonies and killed 43 civilians. We warned them to leave. They refused. The Aegis Dawn acted to defend our people, nothing more. The core delegate, the same one who had mocked her months ago, leaned forward, his golden eyes studied her closely. And yet your ship destroyed 5 vessels in minutes. No other species here possesses such a weapon in that size class. This was more than defense. This was the demonstration. Mara met his gaze without hesitation. Perhaps it was. We have been underestimated since the day we joined this council. You see us as young, as unprepared. You believe that gives you the right to ignore our safety. The Aegis Dawn is proof that those days are over. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. Many delegates shifted in their seats. The speaker eventually broke the stillness. The council will not take formal action against Earth at this time. However, we call for transparency. We ask that the humans declare the full extent of their military capabilities. Mara shook her head slightly. Our capabilities will remain our own. We seek peace. But if peace is denied to us, we will protect ourselves. The meeting ended without resolution, but the shift in tone was unmistakable. For the first time, humanity's words were not brushed aside. Far from the council hall, reactions across the galaxy were mixed. On the trade world of Vereen, merchants argued over whether to risk human trade routes. Some feared drawing the Vath's anger. Others saw opportunity in dealing with a species now known for its ability to defend shipments. On a small Velari colony, a group of young officers studied holos of the Aegis Dawn's railgun strikes. Their military had been stagnant for centuries, but now they debated if they could learn from the human design, even within the Vath Dominion. Whispers spread. Commanders who had once dismissed humanity now spoke in quiet tones about their next steps. Some wanted immediate retaliation. Others urged caution, fearing another devastating loss. Back on Earth, the people were united in a way they had not been for decades. Footage of the Aegis Dawn's return to lunar orbit circulated across every network. Children in the cities looked up at the night sky, wondering which bright point of light was the ship dot in a secure room under Earth Command. General Hell met with Mara and Commander Rin. The table before them displayed a map of the known galaxy, colored zones marking each major power. We've proven we can defend ourselves, Hale said. Now we have to decide how far we want to push this. Some in the council will want an alliance. Others will want to isolate us. Mara leaned over. The map, if they try to isolate us, they'll close trade routes, restrict technology sales, and pressure neutral races to avoid us. That could slow our growth, Ren added. But if they try to ally with us, it won't be out of friendship. It'll be because they fear what we might do otherwise. Either way, they'll want to control us. Hale gave a small nod, which means our best path is the same as before: strength, independence, and readiness. We keep building, we keep training, and we never again ask for their permission to defend our people. In the weeks that followed, the Aegis Dawn remained in orbit above the moon. Undergoing repairs and upgrades, engineers fine-tuned the stealth systems, making them even harder to detect. The crew drilled daily, running simulations of battles against multiple fleets. Meanwhile, diplomatic envoys from several small races quietly reached out to Earth. They offered trade agreements, resource exchanges, and intelligence sharing. All unofficial, all carefully kept from the council's eyes. For these races, humanity's victory over the Vath had not just been a shock, it had been an inspiration. One night aboard the Aegis Dawn, Mara stood alone in the observation deck, looking out at the curve of Earth far below. Lights glittered across its surface. Like tiny stars, Ren entered quietly. The crew's talking, he said. They think this is just the beginning. They think the next time we're called to battle, it won't be against one fleet. It'll be against many. Mara kept her eyes on the planet. They might be right, but it doesn't matter how many they send. What matters is that when they do, we're ready. Ren smiled faintly. The galaxy's watching us now. Yes, Mara said softly, and they'll keep watching. Every move we make from now on will shape how they see humanity. Far away, in hidden meeting rooms and war councils, plans were being made by friends and foes alike. Some wanted to test the humans again, to see if the victory had been luck. Others wanted to join them, hoping to share in whatever power Earth was building. But in every conversation, one fact was repeated: humanity was no longer the youngest, weakest voice in the galaxy. They had taken their place, not by asking, but by showing what happened when their people were threatened. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the moon, the Aegis Dawn waited, a silent promise that the next time humanity's strength was tested, the galaxy would see it again. The Galactic Council had never moved so quickly. Reports of the Aegis Dawn's actions reached them within hours. Carried by faster-than-light comm relays and secret sensors, delegates spoke in hurried tones, and emergency sessions were called. The usual arrogance of the older races was replaced by something new. Caution. In the crystal chamber, the Vath delegation sat stiffly, their eyes fixed on the human ambassador. The other races watched with quiet curiosity. Even the core, known for their brash confidence, had stopped laughing. They had underestimated humanity, and now the consequences were clear. Ambassador Mara entered the chamber once more, walking with calm purpose. Her presence alone drew attention. The council members remembered her words, her composure, and the evidence of the Aegis Dawn's power. There was no room for doubt. Earth could no longer be ignored. The Speaker of the Council addressed her first. Ambassador Mara, we are aware of your recent actions against the Vath fleet. The destruction of 5 ships by a single human vessel has caused concern across the galaxy. We request that Earth submit a formal report on all military capabilities. Mara inclined her head slightly. The Council will receive the necessary information on a need-to-know basis. Our people have acted in defense of our colonies. That is the truth, and nothing more. A murmur spread across the chamber. Many older races shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some whispered to one another, clearly unsettled by her calm confidence. The core delegate stood, his claws tapping lightly on the floor. You have proven that humans can build weapons we cannot match easily. Your people have shown skill, speed, and power beyond expectation. But make no mistake, we are not here to negotiate from fear. This council was built on experience and order, not on threats. Mara's reply was measured. I'm not here to threaten the council. I'm here to represent my people. They were attacked, and they responded. If that response teaches anyone caution, it is a side effect. Humanity values peace, but it will not be made a victim again. The chamber remained quiet for several moments. Then the speaker spoke again. The council recognizes that humanity is no longer to be treated as a young race. Your actions demand that we reconsider your status among the stars. Therefore, we extend a formal offer, a permanent seat on the council equal to any other race, with the rights and responsibilities that accompany it. The words were simple, but their meaning was heavy. A seat on the council meant power, influence, and respect. For centuries, humanity had been considered insignificant, laughed at, and dismissed. Now the galaxy was offering them equality. Mara looked at the speaker. And what conditions come with this seat? She asked. The speaker hesitated. No. Conditions beyond the rules of the council itself. You will participate in decisions, offer votes, and abide by the council's agreements. Your sovereignty remains. But you are expected to contribute to the collective well-being of the galaxy. She considered the offer. It was tempting, but she had to weigh it carefully. To accept without caution could be dangerous. The council's words were diplomatic, but diplomacy could hide fear and manipulation. Ren, standing nearby, whispered, "It is exactly what we wanted, recognition and protection. But we must remember, they are watching. Any weakness or misstep could be used against us." Mara nodded. "We accept the seat," she said finally, "not because we fear, not because we seek reward, but because it allows humanity to participate directly in shaping the galaxy. We will not sit silently while others decide our fate." A wave of quiet approval passed through some of the delegates. Others continued to watch carefully, uncertain how to respond to this bold and calm decision. The Vath delegate scowled but said nothing. They understood that their threats had failed. The humans had forced respect, not through negotiation or pleading, but through action. Back on Earth, the announcement of the council seat sparked celebrations. People cheered not for conquest, but for recognition. For the first time, humanity's place in the stars was no longer questioned. They had defended themselves, earned the respect of the galaxy, and now had the ability to influence the future. Yet beneath the celebrations, Mara and Ren knew that this was not the end. Strength came with responsibility. They had proven their power in battle, but now they would need wisdom and diplomacy. The galaxy was watching every move carefully, and every decision would have consequences. Weeks passed as preparations were made for Earth's first official council session. The Aegis Dawn underwent additional upgrades, ensuring it remained ready should any challenge arise. Mara trained with her crew, not just for combat, but for strategy, negotiation, and quick decision-making. Every member understood the balance of power and the weight of humanity's new status. When the day came, Mara entered the council chamber once more. She was no longer the young diplomat who had been laughed at months ago. She represented a planet that had defended itself, that had forced respect through courage and skill. Her presence alone was a reminder of humanity's journey. The speaker welcomed her. Ambassador Mara, Earth's first official seat is recognized. Your people have proven their ability to defend themselves, and we trust they will contribute wisely to the Council's decisions. Mara inclined her head. Thank you. Humanity will act in the interest of peace whenever possible. But let it be known, we will defend our people and our home when necessary. That is our first and unchanging duty. Throughout the chamber, delegates listened carefully. Some nodded, some remained cautious, and some took private notes. It was clear that the Aegis Dawn's actions had shifted the balance of perception. Humans were no longer young or weak. They were a force to be acknowledged. Even the Vath delegation, seated silently, understood that the old arrogance could no longer guide their interactions with Earth. The balance had changed later. Mara met privately with Rin in a quiet observation chamber overlooking the moon. The Earth below shone peacefully, unaware of the careful balance being negotiated above. They'll respect us now, Rin said, his eyes scanning the horizon. At least publicly. Mara nodded. Public respect is not enough. We must continue to be ready, continue to grow. The galaxy will test us in ways we cannot yet see. Rin smiled faintly. And we will be ready. Humanity has shown that it can act with both restraint and strength. That combination is what others will remember. Yes, Mara said softly. The Council's offer is not just a reward. It is a recognition of what we have earned. And the lesson is clear. The galaxy will remember humanity for both its courage and its power. From the silent shadows of the moon's orbit, the Aegis Dawn waited. It was more than a warship. It was a symbol, a guardian, and a reminder that humanity's place in the stars was now permanent. Months had passed since the Aegis Dawn's first strike and the Council's offer of a permanent seat. To humanity, life on Earth returned to a semblance of normalcy, but beneath the surface, preparations continued. The planet was no longer the young, underestimated world it had once been. Its people were aware now that their survival depended on vigilance, strength, and unity. In the orbital shipyards above the moon, the Aegis Dawn was not idle. Engineers moved quickly, installing new systems, upgrading weapons, and reinforcing the hull. Each improvement was a reminder of humanity's dual purpose, to protect and to show the galaxy that Earth could not be ignored. Captain Mara walked the ship's corridors, greeting crew members and observing drills. Her calm presence inspired confidence. Every officer and sailor understood that they were not just preparing for another battle. They were shaping the perception of humanity across the stars. Commander Rin joined her on the bridge as the ship powered its systems for a test run. The upgrades are nearly complete, he said. Weapons, engines, stealth. Everything is performing beyond initial projections. Mara watched Earth slowly rotate beneath them, the blues and greens of the planet vivid against the black of space. They will remember us, she said, not just for our victory, but for the fact that we were ready the next time they tested us. Rin nodded. Every fleet, every diplomat, every council member now understands that humans are serious. That knowledge will guide their decisions. The comm was interrupted by a comm signal. It was General Hale, speaking from Earth Command. Captain Mara. Ambassador Mara, you have an unscheduled visitor in orbit. A representative of the Outer Systems Coalition requests a meeting. On my way, Mara replied. The meeting took place in a neutral docking station near the moon. The Coalition representative, a slender figure from the race of Virilians, greeted Mara with a respectful nod. Their long, delicate hands trembled slightly, betraying nervousness. We have watched your actions with great interest, the representative said. The way Earth defended its colonies, the precision of the Aegis Dawn strikes, it is unlike anything we have seen. We wish to establish a formal alliance, offering technology exchange and trade rights. Mara listened carefully, aware that every word carried weight. We accept cooperation, she said, but let it be clear. Humanity's primary duty is to its people. We do not enter alliances for power, but for protection and mutual benefit. The representative inclined their head. We understand, and we respect your position. Other races may learn caution from this example. You have changed the galaxy's perception of humans. Mara nodded. Good. Let that be a lesson. Peace is possible, but only with respect and preparedness back on Earth. The council session convened to formally welcome humanity as a voting member. Mara spoke to the chamber, her words measured, clear, and confident. Humans have proven that we can defend ourselves, she said. Our actions were necessary and deliberate. We do not seek dominance, nor conquest, but we will protect our home and our people. We expect the council to acknowledge our position, not just as newcomers, but as equals. The delegates listened, some with admiration, some with hesitation. The Vath representatives remained silent, their pride wounded, but aware that Earth had forced respect without needing permission. The council approved Earth's seat unanimously, though privately some older races grumbled about the human approach to power. Even so, the recognition was clear. Humanity was no longer young. Humanity had arrived months later. The Aegis Dawn embarked on a diplomatic tour across nearby systems. Mara and Ren used these journeys to demonstrate humanity's capabilities and to meet new allies. Every port, every colony, and every council member saw that the ship was not just a weapon, but a symbol. Its presence alone reminded all observers that Earth would defend itself without hesitation. During one visit, Mara spoke to a gathering of multiple races in a large space station. We have no desire for conflict, she said, but understand this, when humanity is threatened, it will act. Our strength is not for conquest, but for protection. Let that serve as a quiet warning to those who underestimate us. Her words traveled through networks and relays, reaching governments and fleets across the stars. Humanity's reputation grew not through fear alone, but through the balance of power and measured restraint. Even in the Vath Dominion, whispers spread. Officers debated how to respond to the human presence. Some suggested immediate retaliation. Others argued that attacking again would risk further losses and dishonor. Humanity had not only defended itself, it had reshaped strategy and fear across enemy fleets. Mara observed these discussions through intelligence channels, careful to remain unseen. Knowledge was power, and understanding how the galaxy reacted allowed Earth to prepare for the future. Ren, she said one evening aboard the Aegis Dawn. They are learning that humans are not to be underestimated. Every fleet that watches us, every diplomat that records our actions, they all take note. Ren smiled. Yes, and that will influence their choices. Earth's voice now carries weight, not because of politics, but because of capability. Mara nodded. Strength alone is not enough. We must combine it with strategy, patience, and clarity. That is how we ensure humanity survives and thrives. Years passed. Humanity expanded cautiously, establishing colonies on distant worlds and trade routes that connected multiple systems. Each step was deliberate, maintaining a balance between growth and security. The Aegis Dawn remained central to Earth's presence in space. It trained new crews, escorted vital shipments, and served as a reminder of what Earth could achieve when pushed. Mara, Ren, and their officers became legends, not just for victories, but for shaping a civilization capable of standing among the stars with pride and skill. On the moon, the ship's shadows stretched over the orbital docks. Inside, Mara and Ren watched Earth's blue oceans shimmer in sunlight, the familiar home they had fought to protect. Ren spoke softly. They'll remember every race that witnessed our actions, every fleet, every council session. It is a memory that shapes decisions. Mara smiled. Yes, and as long as humanity remains ready, respected, and united, No one will ever call us weak again. The galaxy has learned that lesson quietly, and it will not forget. Above them, the stars shone silently. The galaxy was vast, filled with challenges and opportunities. But humanity now stood among the capable and the respected. The Aegis Dawn was more than a ship. It was a promise, a shield, and a quiet warning. Underestimate humanity at your own peril. And so, Earth's journey continued. A young race no longer. It had grown strong, wise, and ready. The galaxy watched, careful, curious, and respectful. Humanity's place among the stars was secure, earned through courage, skill, and determination. The quiet warning echoed throughout the cosmos. Humans would protect their own, and any who tested them would learn that Earth's wrath was swift, precise, and unstoppable.